So I wanted to talk a little bit about fluid and why it's so important to keep the fluid off. I generally keep my fluid off, but this year I partook in the holidays a little bit more than I normally do, and then I kind of got inspired to start cooking a little more. I got a toaster oven that I can bake in. I don't have a complete kitchen in my unfinished house, by the way. Um, so having that, I started baking a bit more, started eating a bit more, and wasn't sure if I slowly put on some weight or just slowly built up the fluid. I also was a little conscious that I was going to be a little bit lazy this year in the winter after the big snows of last year and just kind of hold off on conserving a little bit of energy if I really needed it. So, between those factors, my fluid crept up. And then I finally got a little sauna structure built and started getting it off a little more because, if you've been following, you notice I'm complaining in the surf and I'm generally not quite feeling it. Well, I was holding about 4 kilos, and that puts pressure on my heart and my lungs. It dilutes my blood. I mean, if I took any one of these surfers out there and dropped 10 pounds on them, I took any normal person, you put 10 pounds in their lap, they're not really going to want to get up and go do something. So now that I've actually gotten the fluid off, I feel so much better. And we're talking as far as performance goes, the difference between doing 25 push ups and struggling and feeling weak to being able to do 3 sets of 40 and feeling like I probably could have done sets of 50 or maybe even 55. Um, that's a pretty big difference. And if you think about it in terms of that you're carrying around a sack of potatoes all the time and you're having your blood diluted, you just can't really expect to have that extra energy. As well, it's going to affect your electrolyte balance. It does so many things. And this video isn't just for dialysis patients. Like, people have fluid fluctuation throughout the day. I see it on people all the time. As my eye bags are a little smaller, people get bags under their eyes and they get swollen ankles and stuff for normal people. And just being aware of your fluid levels and where it is sitting and what it takes to move it around is important. I mean, if you want to have any sort of performance ability as far as athletics goes, it's huge. But even just in the day to day activities of where your brain fog, your brain power, and your ability to think and ability to generally do things is going to be pretty heavily affected by your fluid. Um, so either you can go to dialysis and you can go through the cycles and you can pull it off at dialysis, or you can figure out some other way. For me, it's sweating, and I do put in a bit of time for it. But the bottom line is I feel good, and I'm motivated and hungry for life right now instead of having just a body that feels very weighed down. Um, and I don't notice that in the slow change. It happens so slowly that you won't realize it. Um, and I also went through. I took some off at dialysis, and I started cramping at around 74 kilos. Even though I got myself down to 72 when I sweat. And that's because of replenishment and the process of the fluid moving through your cells and stuff. It's not always about how dry you are for cramping. Sometimes you got to fight through that as a dialysis patient and replenish and then get more off. Um, Personally, I don't understand how people have these large gains, to be honest with you. If you're having more than like 2 kilos, 1 to 2 kilos, that's gotta be just rough. I remember doing it in the beginning, and those were my suicidal years. So I didn't want to live. Just did not want to live feeling like that. Um, and I don't now. I want to make sure that I stay on top of it. That way I can live and have hunger for life. And thanks for watching my ramble. I hope that I hit on something that can help you a little bit. And I do appreciate following and like and subscribe, comments. I do appreciate trying to stoke my hunger for life. It helps to have other people interested.